how PC CRTs are only just now reaching the point where we can truly take advantage of them at their absolute best. These things support very high refresh rates, but PCs back when CRTs were in use really couldn't deliver frame rates at those high refresh rates. But now you can. And because of the way CRTs handle resolutions, you can also lower your resolution a lot. I will say on this monitor, playing a game at something like 1280 by 960, I think it looks better than my 4K LCD. It just does. It's cleaner, smoother, nicer. There's no motion blur. And so that's why I decided let's load up Control on there. And so with Control, I decided to just play it at 1024 by 768. That's under 720p. That seems like that would be an awful resolution, but it looks gorgeous on a CRT. And as a result, I was able to run it at 120 frames per second, which now was locked, so it was very, very stable. And I was able to max out all of the ray tracing features. So full ray traced, 120 frames per second on a CRT with perfect motion, no LCD blur at all. This is just about the smoothest thing you could possibly lay eyes on. I will say high refresh rate on a CRT looks better than every single LCD ever made, period, in motion. And I stand by that. I don't care if you're using black frame insertion or any sort of like ultra low motion blur. It doesn't match up. I long suspected this, but it's absolutely 100% true. If you've not seen a CRT in a while, I would say go look at it, but at the same time, if you do, you might not be able to go back to your LCD.
Which is the problem, because I saw what you've been doing with CRTs, and I had to go nuclear. So I spent considerably more than €10 on the legendary Sony Trinitron FW900, which is a 16x10 CRT monitor. It can handle resolutions up to, I believe, 2560 by 1600.
Yeah, so higher than 1440p.
Higher than 1440p, and you can go lower and run at extreme refresh rates. And the footage you've been seeing here has been controlled on my system with a 2080 Ti running at the specs you see on the screen now. And I agree with you that we're going to have to do a separate video on this, but Control just looks amazing on this screen, and everything does.
Everything does. It's revelatory.
And the point is that there's been a rush towards higher resolutions, 4K and whatnot, but sample and hold, which is the way LCDs work, is such that you lose motion resolution to the point where it can go down to like 400 lines, which CRT doesn't do that.
Yeah, and over the years, LCD manufacturers have attempted to offset this, especially gaming PC monitors. They've got ultra high refresh rates. They've got techniques to reduce blur. I've seen all those, and in my mind I was thinking, wow, they're actually getting close to CRT quality. It looks really good, but it's not. If you go back, you really see that, no, we're still a long way away from actually matching that. You just, like, even if you're playing at like 240 hertz on a monitor, on an LCD monitor, that sample and hold blur is just a killer. If you strafe left and right in front of something, you'll see it big time. And again, even using black frame insertion and other similar techniques, it gets so much closer, but it's still not there. And it's just like, and not only that, it's the way resolutions are handled. The fixed pixel structure of an LCD, it's just going to, if you're not at that resolution, you're going to have upscale blur. This is the only reason why when we talk about resolution, when we say, 900p on a 1080p screen doesn't look great, the only reason you would ever say that is because you're displaying 900p upscaled to 1080p on a panel with that native resolution or higher.
And then when it moves...
And it moves and it blurs. So you have a blurry image that blurs when it moves. If you display native 1600 by 900 on a CRT, it will look razor sharp and beautiful. You can display any low resolution. You can put 640 by 480 on there. You're going to get scan lines, but it's going to look good. And it's just this ability to display all these different resolutions where they all look great while eliminating all motion blur with excellent black levels. It's just, I can't believe how much we've lost by moving to LCD.
Yeah. And it's all been kind of, the push for GPU power has all been poured into resolution, where with a CRT you can actually pour it back into features and still get an image that looks very well. It's going to be subjective, but it does hold up against LCD spectacularly so.
Exactly. You don't need 4K when you're running a CRT. You just don't. And you can pour that right back into all those effects. I mean, again, I was playing Quake 2 RTX at insane frame rates. No problem. It just looked unbelievable on there. And I'm getting excited because it's one of those things where I knew it was different, but I didn't realize. I mean, I've been playing on CRT televisions for a long time, but going back to this monitor, and it's just